Times TV critic Judy Berman breaks down her top 5 new TV shows for May 2024.
The FBI has been pursuing Huey Newton for years. They saw the programs worked and change was happening.
The Big Cigar on Apple TV+. Huey P. Newton would have been skeptical of The Big Cigar, a miniseries that dramatizes his flight from the U.S. to Cuba in 1974, and the show is the first to admit it. In a voiceover that prefaces the electrifying 6-part series, the Black Panther Party co-founder, played by actor Andre Holland, says, quote, "This story I'm about to tell you is true, but it is coming through the lens of Hollywood, so let's see how much of my story they're really willing to show." That Newton's wariness of mass culture frames the story from the very beginning is a sign that viewers are in for something much smarter, bolder, and more challenging than the entertainment industry's typical sanitized take on radical politics.
48 hours since Edgar Anderson was last seen around 8 a.m. en route to school. We're urging anybody with information, however small, please come forward, pick up the phone, and help us bring Edgar home.
Eric on Netflix. The morning after a particularly painful confrontation, busy bickering with his long-suffering wife, prickly children's television creator Vincent instructs his 9-year-old son Edgar to walk to school by himself. On one hand, it's only a few blocks away. On the other, this is 1980s New York and danger is everywhere. So of course, Cassie panics when she receives word that Edgar never made it to class. She spends all day trying to reach Vincent with the terrifying news. It's only that night that the weight of his error falls on Vincent, who soon becomes obsessed with the idea that he can convince his son, who's likely to be dead in a ditch, to come home by building Eric, a big blue monster character that Edgar has been sketching, and putting him on TV. Our hero is also, you see, an alcoholic with a history of mental illness. What holds it all together is the parallel Morgan draws between a world overpopulated with bad dads and a patriarchy, one that, in the city, encompasses the police, real estate, and politics that is rotting from the inside.
Now, you're probably thinking, you keep hearing us say LA. What do we mean by LA? Well, in many ways, we mean Los Angeles. Let's take a look at what that means. Yeah, dude, this is it.
John Mulaney presents Everybody's in LA on Netflix. Let's get one thing straight. John Mulaney is not angling to become the full-time host of a late-night talk show. He confirmed as much in the monologue that opened his 6-night stint at the helm of John Mulaney Presents Everybody's in LA, the Netflix talk show that ran concurrently with the streaming giant's annual LA-based comedy event, Netflix is a Joke Fest, and is now available to stream on the platform. The Everybody's in LA concept, Chicago native Mulaney and a panel of Netflix-affiliated comics and thematically appropriate guests dissect a different aspect of Los Angeles life each night. It's too specific, not to mention too dependent, on everybody actually being in LA to fuel an indefinite run. But the 4 episodes that have aired so far prove that Mulaney has everything it takes to be the best late-night personality of his generation at a time when the format seems more desperate than ever for a savior.
One man's trash is Julia Fox's treasure.
I just couldn't part with the actual drawer itself. You have 5 items that you must use in
OMG Fashion on E! Project Runway is a reality TV classic, one whose influence has only been reinforced by the emergence of shameless yet watchable ripoffs like Making the Cut and Next in Fashion. We certainly don't need another runway dupe, so it's exciting that E's OMG Fashion feels like something genuinely fresh in the fashion competition category. In blissfully brief episodes edited at the brisk pace of 90s MTV, multi-hyphenate it girl Julia Fox challenges trios of designers to make themed ensembles suited to her own outre aesthetics. Prepare yourself for plastic tampon applicators, BDSM gear, and actual blood. Visionary stylist Laura Roach co-hosts, colorfully comparing one garment to Oscar de la Renta on fentanyl, meant as a compliment. While Fox's incessant repetition of the word disruptor can grate, the show packs more creativity, wit, and transgression into each half hour than Runway and its imitators have mustered in years.
Isaac Hayes, Sam and Dave, Carla Thomas, Otis Redding.
Stax Soulsville, USA on HBO. When Jim Stewart hit up his sister Estelle Axton for funds to start Satellite Records in 1957, the white producer and fiddle player envisioned a country music label, along with a record store that would keep the company connected to music fans in its home base of Memphis. But by 1961, Satellite had become Stax, and the many black musicians who frequented the shop, one of few businesses in what was then a segregated city that didn't discriminate, were pioneering a sound that would come to be known as Southern Soul. It's a remarkable story recounted with insight and nuance in a 4-part docuseries. Through interviews with Stewart, who died in 2022, Booker T. Jones, the ingenious executive Al Bell, and other crucial characters, director Jamila Wignot weaves Stax's tumultuous history into the fabric of a society in the throes of the civil rights movement that was just beginning to integrate. Otis Redding's breakthrough performance for thousands of white hippies at Monterey Pop, masterminded by Bell. Stax musicians' eye-opening tours of Europe, where they were treated like stars rather than second-class citizens. And the label's blaxploitation-era revival with Isaac Hayes' Shaft soundtrack are just a few of the series' fascinating vignettes. But Wignot also acknowledges that Stax was no post-racial utopia, making space for Jones and other alums to reflect on their frustrations with white colleagues who rarely seem to consider the black community's plight.